Whether we are there or not, ITSP Magazine still gets the best stories. Plenty of conferences and events spark our curiosity and allow us to start conversations with some of the world's brightest minds. In person or virtually, Sean Martin and Marco Ciappelli go on location and sit down with them at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Together, we discover what the synergy of these three elements means for the future of humanity.
Marco.
Sean, how are you doing?
You seem so far away.
I am. This is not my usual office.
The background is quite different.
I'm close to our next destination. That's
there
how
you
I
go.
feel.
And you are where I want to be, but that's another story. Hopefully I'll get a chance to connect with you there. I think our guest Parul and I were just talking about how we've both spent some time in Florence, and so I hope you're enjoying that. And you're closer to London. I'm not far behind you. Not far behind you.
You're a little longer.
Where are you right now, Sean?
I'm actually in California at the moment.
Then it's a long
You're
way.
way behind. He's way too far.
I'm 9 hours behind you, but I'm heading your way. I'll be getting on a plane soon, and sadly I won't be making a pit stop in Florence. I'm going straight to London. But anyway,
You'll go later.
I'll go later. And so this is our Chats on the Road. People are probably wondering what we're talking about here. So we're on our way to Infosecurity Europe in London, of course, and we like to have chats with keynotes and presenters at the conference to learn about what's going on and get a sneak peek into what's going to be presented and discussed at the conference. And I'm thrilled to have Parul Khedwal on. Parul, how are you?
I am doing very well. I hope that's the same case with you.
Yes, I think we're both very well, in fact. And excited to meet and see you in person in London. For those who don't know you, maybe a brief introduction, who you are, what you're up to, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So my name is Parul Khedwal. I have been working in cybersecurity industry for a decade now. And in that last 10 years of experience, I have done very, very different roles. So I started as a SOC analyst way back in early 2014. Then quickly moved back to, becoming a senior SOC analyst, SOC lead kind of roles. Then moved to a consulting company, did, SOC establishments for a ton of clients across Europe, US, and then lately then moved to cloud security, did cloud migration because cloud became the buzz and everything from on-prem started moving to cloud. So started doing some of the cloud engineering security architecture projects. So for that, I was mostly based out of Stockholm, Sweden, worked there for 2 years. In COVID, moved back to India to be with family, then joined another company, which was again US-based. I was doing consulting for them in threat intelligence space. I was also leading their security operations, and I was handling all of their, MSSP providers, things like that. Off late, then life gave me a chance to move to London, and I joined Trainline, where I'm employed at this moment. So I'm leading the security operations of Trainline as a whole. So I'm pretty sure whoever is based out of London, and at least in some parts in Europe, you must have used Trainline. And I mean, not really doing any sort of those promotions, but just trying to tell you what really I do. So I protect customer data and all of the security within the Trainline employee infrastructure as well. So that's what I do at the moment. But that's like really, really from my work perspective. But otherwise, if I have to introduce myself, there are more flavors to it. So I like meeting people. I like talking to people, which is why I'm here today, which is why I do conferences. I've been a part of ISACA Bangalore chapter, and now recently joined ISACA UK chapter as well. And I really love talking about security. I've done a couple of courses. I've designed a couple of courses and sold them to I can't really code the companies, but yeah, sold it to them for their internal training. So speaking about security is my passion, and definitely that is what I'm going to be doing it today as well. So yeah, I think that's about me. Unless you have any questions.
I have loads of
No,
questions.
that's it. Podcast is done. You told us everything we needed to know. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
I'm thrilled to hear the ASOCA. It's a great organization. They do good things for the industry, and yeah, congratulations on getting the speaking spot at Infosecurity Europe as well. I'm curious. A lot of Security Operations Center, threat intelligence, security operations in general, it sounds like as well. And then the session is around passwordless auth and multi-factor, which is very specific. And I don't know, maybe not directly.
Mhm.
There are events, of course, for access and authentication in the SOC, but why this particular topic so focused on that? Is there a passion there, or some findings, or something interesting that led you to that?
I think it's a combination of all of these things. So, as a SOC lead, what do you think the kind of incidents that bother me the most? It's not something big breaking. It's the small and the most, easiest thing breaking in, which is as simple as your password, right? We hear about these data leaks every single day. This company got breached, that company got breached. Your credentials are out there everywhere. I mean, I don't know if I really should say this, but I still would want to go ahead and say the statement that data privacy has become a myth now. No matter how great rules we have in place, but at the same time, most of the data across the board is in a breach list somewhere, right? So where do you draw the line, right? You started drawing the line where it's like, okay, one factor is not essential. You need to bring in more, right? One-time passwords, your authenticator apps and whatnot. But attackers have also figured out a way to deal with them as well. So what next? Right. So when I started looking at this topic and I even researched about it, and it's like we are right now kind of taking a U-turn, and what we moved from physical to digital, and now we are trying to take more advantage on the physical side. So this whole password space is taking a new shift altogether, and which is why this topic particularly interested me, because I know from the ground reality how a small password can lead to a very big security incident. At the same time, even as a general user, like you tell me, Sean, how many passwords do you remember? 40? Your bank, your Uber Eats, whatnot,
I remember all of them.
right?
Because you use one.
All
It's
one.
Oh
password.
my God.
You just
Oh
use
my God.
passwords.
You really need this question the most.
We're kidding. We're kidding. We're not that bad. We put a one at the beginning and an exclamation point at the end.
Yeah, but it's again, there's just so much talk around that, what really you want to do with the passwords. There have been always buzzwords like you don't really use a single password, use passphrases. For you, it's easy to remember, I don't like pineapple on my pizza at the rate 236, rather than you remembering combination of your name plus your wife's name plus your dog's name, or I don't know whatsoever, right? So it's taking a whole new shift, and there are a lot of topics that needs to be discussed. There are a lot of topics that people need to be aware about, right? There are a lot of technologies which are coming up. So Fido has done really amazing job in bringing up phishing resistant MFA. So Fido is basically, I think, first identity online. That's what it stands for. I'm sorry if I'm not quoting it correct, because that's what I remember vaguely. But yeah, so I mean, there's a lot to discuss in this space. I've just thrown a very few keywords, but if you look at the agenda of the session as well, you would get to know there's a lot in this space which is happening.
So
You're correct. It is fast identity online.
let me ask you something. Like, how did we get here? It's a very long time I hear password are not good. I
Yeah.
also know that password were used during the Roman Empire, or maybe even earlier than that. to authorize entrance somewhere when you couldn't see someone behind a wall or a door or whatever. And I understand that. That wasn't the technology. It wasn't like, oh, let me see your iris or let me scan your finger or whatever. But I feel like we had this technology now for a while, and I don't know, are we actually getting to drop the password finally? Or what is it are holding this industry into still using password?
I think there are a couple of things which is holding the industry back. First and foremost, it's the resistance from the user side. Because tomorrow, if I told you that you cannot do your bank transactions with a password, but you need to have a pass key or a physical device, you might get immediately bothered that what if this device is lost, right? What if I lose this key? Password is something I can remember or reset, but what if I lose this key? Is it going to be, I mean, are we going backwards? Why not go, to more secure parts? Or why do I need to have a physical scan of my thumb or my retina, or even have let's say, a physical device as a key which you can plug into your system and boom, your password is in? What if somebody steals that? So there's a lot of reluctance from the user community side. Reason being, there's not enough communication. There's not a good story being told to them, especially by the security preachers, the vendors who are bringing this technology. And overall, there is, I think, less awareness in this space as a whole. So I think that is one area because of which people are not really ready to implement this. Secondly, it's also about with new technologies would definitely come new threats, right? How ready are we to handle more sensitive data? For example, GDPR says that even your password, your passports, your full name and password as a passport number as a combination cannot be stored in the same place, right? Because these two together can reveal your identity to another level. You have to be, compliant with certain regulations to be able to store them in the same place. Now, if I, as a person or as a company, want to store your fingerprints, want to store your biometrics, like, right? Am I capable of having an infrastructure which can deal with the security compliance requirements? Maybe, maybe not. So there are a couple of roadblocks, but I think we are heading to a good space because with these sessions, right, more and more people are starting to talk about why going passwordless is going to be the future. And of course, AI being the new buzzword, you can literally throw it anywhere at this point in time. But of course, with AI coming into a lot of toolings, I think it's going to make life easier in the longer run. So, yeah.
So AI is an enabler for some adoption, or to make it easier to manage, or
I would not give it a direct yes or no, but I mean it could be put to some good use if I have to say it that way, because this is a technology. It's not that new. It's been there for a couple of years, like 5 years probably. Now there are organizations which have been using it, and they have seen good success. So even without AI, this has really shown results. But now with AI being an enabler, it could probably take an easy path. But that's something which future is going to reveal.
and so don't give anything away from your session, but is there a story you can tell that kind of sums up what you hope to talk about during your session?
Yep. So, I mean, if I have to nail it down to a very short story, it's more like, everybody now cares about security, right? At the same time, everybody now cares about convenience. How do we marry this together, right? And how this approach is going to help in achieving this. We have talked about a lot of different things, right? Phishing, what is a phishing resistant MFA? What's the need to go passwordless? If you can't go passwordless, how to go with passphrases. If you don't even want to go with that, go to YubiKeys, passkeys, and whatnot, right? So there are a whole bunch of topics that you're going to listen probably in the session about, which would give you and end game to the story that how everything is making sense. Security, passwords, no passwords, keys, how it all comes together.
How much, you mentioned the user resistance to let go something that even if it is a pain, because the password is a pain, they are still thinking that anything else is going to be even more painful. So two-factor authentication. But on the other hand, if you have a multi-factor that involve, I know it sounds scary, but when you go to the airport, you're already using your face to board the airplane. And they don't even ask you if you're okay with that or not. It's just the way it is. I just went through that. So on one way, I'm like thinking, okay, I'm in cybersecurity, privacy, blah, blah, blah. Why didn't you ask me to do that? But then I'm like, you know what? If it makes the airplane more secure, and I didn't even have to pull out my boarding pass or my phone, it's kind of cool. So are we not, as you mentioned, are we not marketing correctly to?
I think marketing was not the word, but I think I did use a word called like we are not telling the right story to the users.
Well, but I'm in marketing, so for me that's also telling the right story, right?
That way. Yes, and it's also about, I don't know, probably it's more about trust, right? When
Yes,
you're
yeah.
going to airport security, you have probably little more trust that it's an airport. It would be regulated by government authorities. There would be regular checks. But when it's let's say a small vendor from which you order food, would you have the same level of trust? Maybe
Right, yes.
not, right? So that could be one barring factor for people to not really
I,
buy.
I wouldn't want to do retina scan to buy an espresso on a bar tomorrow, but I think to go on a
I
plane,
don't
I'm
know. I need
probably
an
cool.
espresso.
You'll give away your retina for an espresso? Okay.
Yeah.
Probably 20 years down the line, probably you walk away into a Pret with your iris, your bank account is linked, and you get just
Probably.
pick the coffee and go away. You don't know.
Yeah, probably. That's possible. That's definitely possible.
Or a pint at a pub, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, Parul, can you give us, as we wrap here, can you give us a sense of who you're speaking to during your session? So clearly, you have a lot of operations and security management background. Your co-presenter Raul looks at ID and access management, so he has more, not more,
Yeah.
but that perspective. So who's there? Is this practitioners? Is it security leaders,
Okay.
operations center folks? Who are you speaking to?
I've not really directly spoken with him yet, so we have upcoming moderation session coming up where we would discuss more about what really his experiences are, what my thoughts are. But he comes from a consulting background and he has implemented identity and access management solutions for a ton of clients. So I think he would definitely know the pain points so that from an organization side, how easy or not so easy the approach is going to be and what the future road would look like. So I'm kind of more interested to even hear that side of the story as well.
Yeah, because there's what's the strategy? How does it support the business? How do we put policies and start to implement the controls? And then you have this helps us ensure security by monitoring and tying it back to the rest of the operations. It's gonna be a great conversation. That's why I picked it. I'm glad you were able to join us.
This is, of course, going to tie back to all of security monitoring because, when MFA goes bad, there's a lot of phishing. So all of this is tied back together to your credential security in the first place.
Make it easier for the analyst.
Definitely.
I love it. Well, this session is called MFA 2FA, Passwordless Authentication, Rising to the Next Level of Protection. That's on Thursday the 6th at 1:15 local time there in London. And Parul, congratulations again on getting the spot to tell these stories and help folks, along with Raul, kind of marry these two sides of the coin together.
Mm-hmm. My pleasure.
Well, we will see you soon soon enough, and we're very excited for another successful Infosecurity Europe. That will be, Sean, our 6th one, I believe. So
Number 6, exactly.
Number 6.
Exactly.
Yep, we're that old. So
I know you can tell.
Mine is second one. Last time I was a visitor, this time I'm a speaker, so I think that's a good progress.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Congratulations on that. And yeah, we're looking definitely forward to see you there and have an in person 5 minutes, hopefully, out of your busy schedule to say hi. And to everybody else, if you can be in London, we'll be there. If you can't, you want to follow us, because we will tell you what's going on, and everybody win.
There's going to be a lot going on, Marco.
I know. I'm ready.
I know,
I'm ready,
me too.
Ready.
All right. Well, thanks, Parul, for taking this time and for taking the time at the conference to share your stories. Thanks, everybody, for listening and watching our chats on the road to Infosecurity Europe in London. We will see you all soon. Please stay tuned, subscribe, share with your friends and enemies, and we'll catch you all there. Safe journey, everybody.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Sean and Marco's On Location event coverage conversations. Please take a moment to give the show a good rating and leave a comment. Remember to share this podcast with your friends, family, and colleagues. Come back for more conversations and follow Sean Martin and Marco Ciappelli as they continue their journey toward redefining cybersecurity and society.